I guess we should start with tornadoes. They're very, very, very dangerous. Highly dangerous. You should probably stay away from them. But they come from what is called a supercell thunderstorm. Now what happens is, there is a warm air mass, which is less dense, and a cold air mass, which is more dense. The warm air mass comes in when the cold air mass is. And the warm is forced upward, while the cold is forced downward because of their densities. Now what happens is, the warm air mass starts to spiral around the cold one, kind of like this, which creates the funnel cloud, which we associate with tornadoes. Surprisingly enough, the thing we all know, convection, is involved in this. When convection current, when that happens, with moist air, it creates a thunderstorm. And some of that moist air will condense, feeding the thunderstorm more and more and more and more energy, which will then create a supercell thunderstorm sometimes. And with the right conditions, tornadoes can come from this. Now there's also something called the Fujita scale. It's kind of like a Richter scale, but for tornadoes. It measures a tornado's intensity, usually based on the destruction of human-built structures and vegetation. Now, there's also something called downdraft. Now, downdraft is a downward current of air, and this is generally thought to be essential to the formation of tornadoes. Now, you may be wondering, where are tornadoes most common? Well, generally they only happen in a couple of states, usually known as the Tornado Valley. Now, these states are Texas, Oklahoma, Indiana, Nebraska, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, and Illinois. Now, something that's also vitally important to the formation of tornadoes is something called wind shear. Now, when there is a strong vertical wind shear, this can be very, very good conditions for supercell thunderstorms, which, as I have said before, is great conditions for tornadoes to come from. Now, although tornadoes aren't exactly common in Michigan, it's not to say that they don't happen, because they do. In fact, the most recent recorded tornado was of June 14th of this year in the Upper Peninsula. Now, that being said, we don't have very many each year. We average roughly 17 per year, as opposed to Texas's unbelievable 35 to 159 tornadoes per year. Now, as I have said before, tornadoes are incredibly dangerous. In fact, one of the most dangerous things about tornadoes, surprisingly enough, is just the debris that can come flying from it, not its crushing force that has the ability to rip apart a house or throw a car hundreds of feet. No, no, no. Sometimes it is simply the things being hurled at you like, say, a nail or a rock. If a tornado gets a hold of one of those, it can fling it at you at hundreds of miles per hour, killing you instantly. Now, I know that sounds bad, but yes, tornadoes can be very, very dangerous. Now, that may scare you, but there are definitely ways to protect yourself. First of all, find shelter immediately. That's probably the biggest one. And secondly, try to keep like a portable TV or a portable radio with you so you can kind of hear what's going on. Now, also, what you're going to want to do is get in a place near no windows. That's very helpful, and crowd with your family into a corner. And if you want to keep your head and chest protected, crouch like so. And also, try and cover your family or whoever you're with some sort of a blanket or pillows just to keep them safe. What you're also going to want to do is wear shoes, because there can be scattered broken glass or something that could very well harm you. Now, I would say lastly, what you would want to do is stay away from things like oil lamps or gas lamps or lanterns, because that can be very dangerous during a time like a tornado. That's been my report on tornadoes. Now I'm going to send it over to Russel Electricity Estelle for his report on lightning.
Thanks, Jared. Lightning forms in the buildup of electrons, or in the negative charges in the clouds that are attracted to positive charges in the clouds, or on the ground. Lightning is a discharge of energy from the ground and back. Lightning is also a product of condensation. Lightning is a discharge of energy from the ground and back. Lightning is also a product of condensation. Charge separation is part of evaporation or heat transfer. Without charge separation, there would be no heat transfer. Cold and warm fronts can relate to lightning as well. Cold and warm fronts can come together to create a storm that lightning can occur from. Lightning likes to form in the Himalayas or in Central Africa. It does not strike the North or South poles. It likes to strike in the Atlantic Ocean near Florida and in open ocean waters, which are very rare but still happen. Michigan ranks 11th nationwide in deaths and 2nd in injuries. There have been 88 deaths and 570 injuries occurred in Michigan because of lightning. Over 80% of deaths and lightnings are in the months June, July, and August. And remember, lightning can kill. About 10,000 deaths have occurred every year because of lightning, and 100,000 injuries as well. Be safe, avoid high places, open fields, isolated trees, flagpoles, light poles, metal or wood bleachers, baseball dugouts, communication towers, water.